Welcome in, everybody. I hope we are doing well today. And hello, YouTube, or whatever the cool kids say. Forgive my little throw there. I just wolfed down a couple bowls of ramen before I started. I actually remembered to eat today, since I haven't since Thursday. All right, let's see. Today, guys, if you remember from last week, our very first ever one of these tutorial things, there will be the links for that monstrosity of a shit show. Whew. 4-hour tutorial last time on downloading OBS, getting all of the essential plugins that I feel are essential, that should be a part of OBS as they are, all installed, set up, and then we went through every configuration and every setup step inside OBS to let you know what they were, what you should set them as, and why. And then we got everything connected to your Twitch account so that you are ready to stream. But at the very end, we made a very quick scene where I put up like a fake, webcam and a fake game as a background and just kind of showed you. So I decided today we're going to expand on that. So we have our fresh install of OBS that is connected to Twitch. It is actually connected to my robot account, so we're not disrupted with the chat going on there and everything as well. So it's all blank and fresh and new, just as we left it at the end of last week. And so today we're going to cover the scene collections. And for those of you that don't know, a scene collection, as the name implies, is a collection of your scenes. And so if you remember from last time, on the far left, we have our scenes, which I equated to the shelves of a bookshelf. And then inside each one of those scenes is the sources, where you have all of the sources inside that scene, or the books on those bookshelves. And you can have multiple scenes. For example, most people will have like the starting soon screen, this type of like a just chatting or introduction scene. There will also be the gameplay scene, a be right back scene, an ending scene, different various things like that. And all of those put together are in a scene collection. And as you can surmise, you can have multiple scene collections. And this is one of the tactics that I use for my various gameplays. So I have a scene collection that we're in right now, and this is primarily for my horror games. And it has all of the graphics and elements for the horror gameplay. That's why my webcam frame is the little eyeball, and you have, the creepy music and things like that going on. But then I have another scene collection that's for my Pokemon speedruns. And then I have another scene collection that is for my Baldur's Gate speedruns. I'm also building another scene collection to do these weekly tutorials in, so it has its own look and feel. And then I will have another one myself that covers, like the generic games that they're not horror. I'm not doing a speed run on them. We're just playing them for fun to play them or whatever. And, it's not really going to fit any of the other vibes that those scene collections have. So we're going to cover how to make a scene collection and show you where you can name them, group them, change between them. But we want to keep in mind, once you go live, you cannot change your scene collection. So you would actually have to stop stream, change your scene collection, and reboot your stream. So we're going to cover that. So we're gonna get over there now, and I'm gonna open my OBS up over here so we have something to look at. And let's go ahead and go over to the other scene here. Boop, 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 boop. All right. So this is just me on the new fresh install of OBS. How clean and pretty it is. We've done all the settings from last week, like I said. And there's nothing here. We haven't added a single thing. What I do have up that you're looking at, besides the canvas and all the OBS stuff, is behind my webcam here. This is my Twitch chat. So for the Twitch account, like I told you, is my robot account that is connected. This is the chat there. And then I have the docs for the Twitch activity. the Twitch stats, and the stream information. So if you want to change your game, your title, or whatever, you can do that right here without having to go to the Twitch dashboard. But other than these 4 docs, the only thing I add that is not there, particularly at the beginning, is the stats doc. And this is there. It's part of OBS. They just don't have it as a doc when you first load up. So you can just go to docs, find the stats right here, click on it, and it'll open this up. I dock it with my audio mixer and my scene transitions to give me more room along the bottom. But this will give you your basic information if you're dropping frames because your CPU is busy, or if your GPU is overtaxed, or if there's something wrong on Twitch's end. You'll see those down here. So it's a good thing to have, and it'll tell you, you know, at a quick glance, you can tell if something's wrong with your stream, what that problem is, or where it's at least being caused from. So other than that, this is what we start with. And like I told you before, on the left-hand side is our list of scenes. And this is where you would have your scenes for your Be Right Back, your Starting Soon, your gameplay, etc. And then the sources are the components inside those scenes that actually show up on the canvas, right? So we're going to go through and I'm going to show you one of the proper methods of making a scene collection that will help you not only today to click go live and be live on Twitch or whatever your streaming service is, be it YouTube or Facebook or TikTok, but it will also be ready for anything in the future. So as you grow as a streamer and you want to incorporate new things into your streams, be it, you know, funny little graphics or channel point redeems or sounds or welcome messages, you know, shout outs and things like that, you already will have a place to put them so that they will just work when it's done, instead of trying to figure out how you're going to add them at that point. So that way OBS becomes less troublesome and less daunting and just more welcoming and ready to go. Like, hey, I already have a slot for that. Put it right here. Let's go. So the one thing with scenes is you can add as many as you want. There is no limit. I mean, I think there is a limit, but it's like over 2,000 before it starts having problems. So you don't really have anything to worry about. If you're making that many scenes, you probably don't need to be watching my videos. You probably need to be talking to a therapist. But I digress. No. But one thing about the scenes, and we covered this last week, but I'm going to cover it again, is that just because you have a scene doesn't mean there has to be anything in it. You never have to click on it. You never have to use it. And I use that tactic to organize my scenes in my setup. And I'm going to show you what I mean when I finish my coffee right here. So this whole thing is a scene collection, and if you look up at the top, it'll tell you what version of, oh, you can't see that, hold on. There we go, because of my chat, sorry. It'll tell you at the very, very top of the window what version of OBS you have. Right now we're running 21.1.2, which is the latest, came out on the 28th of May. We are running it in portable mode, that way I can have both of them open and running and doing things and showing you and adding stuff without affecting my streaming version of OBS. But you'll see here, profile is untitled and the scenes are untitled. So, okay, Bearded, what the hell does that mean? Well, oops, I didn't mean to maximize that. If you go, you see up here, scene collection, right? We can make a new scene collection. We can duplicate the one we're currently on. We can rename the one we're currently on. You have to have one. So if you only have one, like we only have one with a default install, the remove option will not be there. But keep in mind, all of these here are for the scene collection you are currently on. So if you want to remove a scene collection from your setup, you have to go into that scene collection and then remove it. You can import and export because of the plugins that we added last week. And then as you can see here, we are on the check mark. We are on the untitled scene collection. Right, so we could rename this, for example, we can rename this OBS tutorial. Okay, and now our scene collection is named OBS tutorial. Again, you can name these pretty much whatever you want. There are certain characters that aren't allowed, as you would expect, but for the most part, anything you want to say in there goes. Just keep it so you know what it is. Nobody's ever going to see this unless you do a tutorial like this. But you'll notice right again at the top, now the scenes collection that we're in is the OBS tutorial. So you can tell right away, as soon as OBS loads, what scene collection you're in. Same thing with the profile. You can have multiple profiles. So if you do stream to bigger outlets, so for example, like right now, if your primary outlet is Twitch, you do know as an affiliate, you are not allowed to simultaneously stream to other large platforms. So no YouTube, no Facebook, right? But you can multi-stream to Twitch and the small platforms like the verticals, like TikTok. Okay. So if you're doing that, or you do want to stream to YouTube sometimes, because YouTube has the different audio settings that we talked about earlier, you can make a profile that connects to your Twitch account and then make a secondary profile that connects to your YouTube account. And then you can swap between those depending on which outlet you're going to stream to at that time. Normally for me, because there are other ways to do the multi-stream, which we will cover in another tutorial down the road, that isn't needed. But if you're only doing like 1 or 2 outlets and you're not doing the simultaneous streaming to them, so one to Twitch and then the next day you might stream on YouTube, the separate profiles might be the easiest method for you, and that's how you would go about it. So here we are. We're in our profile, tutorial profile. We're in the OBS tutorial scene collection, and we're going to start. Now, just like you have to have a scene collection in OBS, so I can't, again, delete the only one that I have. You also have to have at least one scene. So I cannot remove this scene. If I try to, it'll tell me there must be at least one. You do not have to have anything inside the scene though. So we could technically go live right now connected to my robot account and just stream a black scene with no audio, no video, no nothing. And it would be there. Don't do that. I don't recommend it. You know, that's not very conducive to growth for your community. But we're still going to take advantage of these scenes. And like we started last time, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to rename the first one. And I use the little tilde signs. You can use dashes, you can use stars, you can use nothing if you want to, whatever. But I always start with my main scenes. I can spell. I promise I can spell. So I name mine scenes. And so this is going to act as a separator. So there's not going to be anything in these sources. We're never going to click on this once we create the next one. But this is just letting me know visually it's going to create a separation in this scenes collection here that we're looking at here. So again, my next one then is I'm thinking ahead, right? So I know I'm going to have my main scenes, and those are going to be, again, starting soon, gameplay, the just chatting, the BRB, that kind of thing. Hero, welcome in, my friend. How are you? Thank you for joining us today. But I'm also going to be adding things like audio cues, right? I'm going to have my microphone. I'm going to have, you know, my sound alerts, anything coming in that makes noise. I'll have an audio scene for that. I'm going to have the visual ones, which is going to hold like my webcam. I will have one for browser sources because I know certain things like stream elements and sound alerts and things like that use browser sources to bring things into OBS, and I'm going to take advantage of those tools as well. So I'm going to plan ahead while I'm creating this scene collection, and I'm going to plan to have a place to put those when I eventually get to them. So my next one, for example, instead of being scene 2, we may call this, I don't know, browser sources, right? I promise I can spell. And we'll put go. Okay, and then we're just going to go in and we're going to add our separators. So we're going to add another one now. This one will be like audio stuff, maybe. Okay, and then we're going to have one for like video stuff. Okay, we might have one for special things. So like if you have, Maybe you do like a game night where you do that bingo from that Twitch extension, the bingo one. If you do that and that's its own little scene, it technically could go in scenes, but maybe you want to have where you can easily quickly turn that entire thing off and you don't want to have to go through it. So you could make another one even, just either call it like miscellaneous maybe, or we could call it special. You know, that's up to you, of course. It's just got to make sense to you. So now we have all of these different scenes, but again, there's nothing inside them, and we don't plan to ever put anything inside them. These are just placeholders. So now we're going to build our actual first scene. And the first one that you're ever going to see when you go live is usually, and not always, but usually is the starting soon screen, right? So we may name this one starting soon. Okay. So now you can either use these little arrows down below, up and down, or you can click drag and move it. So we know the starting soon is a scene. We're going to put it there. What else are we going to have? We're going to go from the starting soon screen. Maybe we go to like a welcome screen or a just chatting. So we maybe have that, just chatting. And this might be a smaller scene where it only has like a background, maybe some music, and then our webcam, right? So it's just us and we can chat with the people. But from there, we actually are going to end up playing a game someday, right? So we're going to need our gameplay, or you can call it the game scene or gaming, or, you know, whatever you want to name it. And then again, we move that up into the scenes. And so you can see how I'm doing this, right? We're getting everything ready instead of like just doing the starting soon and getting that all done. And then we're going to do just chatting and get everything built inside there. We're building a place to put everything, because as you will see eventually here in a little bit, we are going to need some elements of a scene in another scene. So if we already have built one out all the way completely, and then we change how we access one of those elements, we have to go back then and change it all over again in that first scene. So I recommend going through and you know, you can do this on paper first if you want to, or on your computer or whatever, or just play around with it inside OBS. But try to think ahead of everything that you might need that you currently use when you do go live, or if you haven't gone live yet, when you plan to go live, what you are wanting to see from your thing. Obviously, if we're going to be streaming for multiple hours, we are going to have to take a break. We might have to go get food or go pee, or, you know, walk the dog, whatever it is. So we're going to need a be right back screen so that people aren't just looking at our almighty chair on the empty webcam while we're off doing whatever it is we're doing. So we might make a BRB screen. And then, of course, we can go back and forth between gameplay BRB, but then when we're all done, you may want to have an ending scene or a rating out scene so that people that are just coming in while you're ending won't think that you're still playing the game because you're on your game screen. They'll see, oh, they're rating out. Maybe I'm not going to come hang out, or maybe I will and be a part of the raid. But, you know, it saves a lot of hassle, and a lot of those instances where I had in the past before I had, hi, Natalia, you're never late, dear. But I had in the past where I would be ready to raid out and I was looking for a raider, but I didn't have an ending scene. And then I would get raided while I was about to raid out. But I can't, you know, due to my schedule, I can't sit there and go, oh, we just got raided, I'm going to go ahead and play for another 20 minutes. So there were a lot of times where I would get raided in right at the end, and then we would just raid right away again. And that's not fair to the people raiding you. So you want to give them a little heads up, you know, hey, I'm ending my stream. So if you're thinking about raiding me, I appreciate you, but maybe tomorrow, whatever. So we might make an ending scene just to let everybody know that our stream is ending soon. And so then we have our basic setup. And again, if you have ideas that you want to do for your other primary scenes, feel free to add them in. There is no limit. You're not stuck with just this type. I mean, you can have multiples depending on, you know, your specific needs. So for right now, though, we have the starting soon, the just chatting, the gameplay, the BRB, and the ending scene, but we still don't have any audio or video or anything like that to bring in. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to come into the audio, And we're going to make one called output. I can spell output sounds. And this is going to be things that you do make noise to go out to your stream. So your microphone, right? Or your headset microphone. If you have multiples, some people use multiples. I missed out. You made the scene. I've only made them. There's nothing in them. We haven't done anything. We've just made them, and you haven't missed it because we're making a new one right now. So it's the exact same thing over and over. I'm just giving you an idea of how a scene collection should be laid out to not only help you right now, but also in the future when you do add new things to your stream. So I'm going to make an output sounds, and we're going to move that under audio. But I'm also going to make an input sound, right? And I'm going to move that up as well. And this will be things like my gameplay, my sound alerts, you know, things like that that are going to come in and make noise before they go out. So they're coming in. And now I can keep those separated. So for example, now, because I have my microphone in a separate scene than my sound alerts and my, you know, welcome messages and things like that, if I go to my BRB screen, I don't want my microphone on. I don't know about you, but my bathroom is literally behind this wall. And if I left my microphone on and I went to go pee, all of you would hear me pee. And that's not cool. You know, it's kind of gross. So instead of having to make sure I mute my microphone or mute it in OBS or anything like that, I can leave my microphone scene off of my BRB scene completely. And it's not even there, so it's not going to make any noise. So I can go to my BRB screen to take a phone call if my boss calls or my mom calls, which please don't call me, Mom. Or if I have to go to the bathroom or whatever it is, but I can leave all the other sounds, the alerts and the shout outs and the welcome messages on so that those happen while I'm gone. They're still going to play and make noise. And you don't have to add everything over and over and over again. And that's where we're going to get into the nested scenes in just a moment. And then for our video, we got to think about our video, right? We have, what are we going to have? Well, first we have our webcam, or for your PNG and VTubers, you have the program that runs, you know, those things for you. If you decide to even have a webcam, some people don't, and that's okay. But whatever that is. So I have a webcam. I use a webcam. So we're going to make one is our webcam. Welcome back. I missed your face. So now we have our webcam. You're welcome. And we're going to move that up underneath our video separator, right? So now we have our scenes, we have our browser sources, which we haven't had any yet. We got our audio, our video, but also on our video, we're going to have, what else makes a video, right? Our games, right? So we're going to need the game scenes. So I'm going to name this game screen. And now we're going to move that up under video. Okay. And you might have other things that you need that are visual, and that this is where they would go under the video. But because we have this miscellaneous, I'm going to go ahead and make use of that too. And I'm going to add a new scene, and I'm going to call this one, and this is just what I do personally, but I have my alerts all in their own scene. So, hi, Butterfly. So on my alerts, that's going to be things like my walk-on messages. That's going to be my channel point visual redeems, anything that like makes noise or shows a clip or anything like that on my stream will be in the alert scene. So I can have all of those here, and then I can control them through the other scenes. And for example, I may not want all of my alerts to show up on my ending scene, right? So instead of having to delete all of them when I'm building my ending scene, I can just leave the alerts off out of the whole thing, just that one. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. So We have our starting soon, or just chatting, our gameplay, our ending, and our BRB. We have our input and output sounds. We've got our webcam and our game screens, and then we have our alerts. And this is pretty basic, standard for every streamer. Again, your organization and layout may be different, but if you're looking for something that you can do that will have everything you need, this is a great start. And as you can see, we still have our browser sources to add. So those of you that are using Stream Elements for like your design layouts, you can have those individual widgets and scenes come in through the browser source. You can add those there. And then more miscellaneous if you're doing other things. I know, especially like with the VTubers, they have a lot of things that they can add, overlays and stuff like that to make things happen. Like there's that one where you can throw things at the VTuber, right? And that's its own special little thing that can go under miscellaneous, and things like that. So however you want to set it up. But now this right here, this whole group right here is our scene collection. But yeah, so you can have tits, you can have K-bonk, you can have all of these different things for your VTuber or your PNG tuber or whatever it may be. You can have different graphics for your webcam itself. For example, I have like the drama. Right? So all of those things are in their own little scene. And then I can incorporate them only on the scenes where my webcam is there, because I don't need it on every scene. Since my webcam's not on my starting soon, for example, or my BRB, I don't have to have those and I won't use them, but they're still there if I need to. So once you have all of this set up, you can actually start building your scenes. And I always recommend you start with audio and then video and then everything else. So we're going to go to our input and output. And again, the output sounds are going to be like things that I'm outputting. So we're going to add the microphone. So we're going to come in, we're going to add an audio input capture. Oops, I'm on the wrong one. Input sounds. Audio input capture in the input sounds. We're going to name this one microphone. Again, you can name it whatever you want. Just make sure you understand what it is, right? So you want to be able to look at that and go, oh, that's my microphone. So don't name it things like, Giant Blue Steve or something if you're not going to remember what that means. So I'm using the Yeti Classic today. So we're going to go with that microphone. We're going to click OK as the default. And there you see it. It's there. As I'm speaking, it is showing movement. But I'm going to show you one little trick right here in the audio mixer. And this is I like to do because you're going to end up with a lot of things making sound on your stream. Right click inside the audio mixer, anywhere in here. And the second option is vertical layout. If you click that, now we have our microphone equalizer vertical, and all the other ones will be vertical too. So you can have, quite a bit here before you have to side scroll, which is a lot easier than the 3 or 4 that you can have here when it's horizontal. So if you don't know about the vertical layout for the audio mixer, now you do, and you're welcome. I'm not going to cover a whole lot of things such as the filters and different uses of various plugins on this tutorial, because this is about building it up. And I do have other tutorials on the YouTube channel that cover more specifically the things like how to properly set up your microphone and its filters. But as you can see, if I talk and it goes all red, when it goes all red like that, that means the microphone has peaked, and Twitch is now going to cut my volume off because they do not allow peaked volumes to come through. So instead of just tampering it down, they just stop all sounds. So if you've ever been on a stream of some streamer and some of the more loud streamers, and you notice that their voice kind of cuts out, and then there's a couple seconds delay, and then they come back, that's because Twitch will cut the volume coming in on their stream for a couple seconds because it is too high pitched. Now you can still be loud and you can make a lot of noise, but if I peak that volume like you saw me do there, and it goes way too high and the whole thing turns red, Twitch is going to cut that off. OBS is still going to send it, but Twitch is going to cut it off. So one of the things I like to do first off, before I do anything else, once I have my microphone, is I'm going to go and add a filter. Okay, and I'm going to just really quick, I'm going to add a limiter, and I'm going to limit it to -6 dB, which is the default. Some of you may like 7, some of you may like 5. It's up to you. I covered that in that other tutorial. But now, no matter how loud I go, how close I get to my microphone, and I can scream and shout and yell, I will get louder in volume on stream, but I will not ever reach above -6 on the dB scale. So I will never peak the microphone. So in that case, I will never get my volume cut off by Twitch. So if you do nothing else to your microphone, do that, and then you're good to go. Okay. Excuse me. So now we need some output sounds. So we're going to go to our output. Now, what would be an output sound? Well, the first and most logical is going to be your game. Right, your game needs to make noise and have that output so your audience can hear you through your microphone and hear your game as well when you're playing. Now, if you remember from last week, one of the very first plugins that we added was that Wind Capture Audio. Okay, that's this application audio output capture. So we're going to add that. We're going to name this one Game, and we're going to click OK. And I don't have any games open right now, so I'm just going to click OK, not adding nothing to it, but you can see there it is. And I'm going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead. Let's just open a little game. I don't know. We'll do Ghost Exorcism. Okay, why not? Why not? So as Ghost Exorcism opens, and you can see it down there. Once the game is open, there it is. Let me go ahead and get back to that. Here we go. Okay, so the game is open. The game is making noise. I can hear it in my headphones, but you can see it's still not doing anything here. So we're going to come in here. We're going to right click. We're going to go to properties. We're going to get the properties window open again. And now in our add from currently active sessions, and this is the important part, it's active sessions only. We're going to drop down. We're going to find Ghost Exorcism. This is the game. And we're going to add Gothica Sunshine, welcome in. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. We've just added Ghost Exorcism. We click on the add executable. So now the game is making noise in my headphones. But if we click OK, you'll see it's kind of dwindling down here. It's not making a lot of noise, right? Because the game doesn't make a lot of noise in the beginning. But you can see that the volume is there, right? So the game is playing. So now, okay, let's say you're a multi-game streamer, and this is going to be important for this particular audio capture and this plugin that we've used. If you are a multi-game streamer, you're going to have to add the game that you're playing to the audio when you first load up the game. Well, what do I mean by that? Okay, well, let's close Ghost Exorcism. Right, you can see the little green dots at the very bottom. They went down. The game's not making any more noise or anything like that. We're going to go ahead. We'll just open up another game. We'll just do Obsidio. That was one of a good game, just broken. All right, so this is making a little bit of noise. So we're going to come here. And if I come in here again, properties, and now we're going to look for Obsidio. Here it is. We're going to add the executable. We're going to click OK. You can see Ghost Exorcism still on the list. And that's important. You only have to do this once. For each game you play, you have to do it, but you only have to do it once. So now Obsidio is in the list. And there you can see Obsidio's making noise. Right? There you go. So we have our volume level. And now this is individually controls the volume going out to stream for that particular game. So if this game is too loud, if your viewers are like, whoa, the game's really loud, you don't have to like adjust your headset and worry about the sounds that you hear. If it's comfortable in your ears, all you have to do is come in and drag this down, make the volume a little bit lower or even lower or louder, whatever the case may be for that particular game. Because some games are louder than others, right? So in that case, all you need to do then is set it. Okay, chat, how's that volume sound? Is that good? Yeah, it's good. Okay, and then you go on and play your game. That one slider for that game, and that's it. But now, if I were to, for example, let's close Obsidio, and you see now we're not making any noise. Gravitas, welcome in. How are you? How are you? Glad you were here. It's good to see you. So now we have the game set up right now. If I were to open GhostX again, I wouldn't have to add it to the list because, as you can see, it's already in the list. We've added it once. But if I open a third game, if I opened Malum or even Fortnite or whatever game it may be, I would have to come in here and add that executable to the list so that this knows what executable we're changing the same for. You have multiple game audio captures. Yeah. If you don't have the plugin and you're using this application audio capture beta, then you have to have one for each game, which is very cumbersome, which is why I recommend that we get that plugin. So we have our game audio, we have our microphone audio. There are going to be other things that come up that make noise, right? But we can preemptively know what some of them are going to be. So for example, if you play games with a lot of people, like we do every Saturday with the Ghosty Gang, or we do like collabs with my girlfriend and our friends in that community, we know we talk on Discord, and I want Discord to be able to be heard, and I want all of the people I'm in that call with to be heard. So we're going to add a separate one, application audio output capture. We're going to name this one Discord. And then again, same thing. If it is active, it'll be in the list. So there's Discord. We add the executable. And now if anybody were to join on my Discord call, which I'm not in a Discord call, but if they were to, then their volume would be here. And again, if you've ever played like Phasmophobia or whatever with a group of people, you know that some people can get on Discord and they are loud. And what do you have to do? You have to go tab out of your game, open up, re-maximize Discord or whatever it is, find that person that's really loud, right click on their name in the chat, find the volume slider, slide it down till their volume is good. And then you have to check everybody else's, right? Well, now all of that Discord audio is on its own channel in our OBS. So if Discord calls are real loud and they're louder than we are in our microphone, you can come in here and just turn them the fuck down. Now they can still be heard, but they're not overbearing, right? And that's for your audience that's watching your stream. These do not affect the volume in your headset. These affect the volume going out to your live streams. So if everything is fine in your ears, you can turn these way down, way up, whatever your audience needs or desires. Some people like to hear the game louder than other things. Some people like to hear the Discord call people louder than the streamer sometimes even. And you can make those adjustments right here. Some other things that you might want to add, and I'll just go through and add a couple to show you. We're going to add another one for Spotify. So now we have our audio input. And again, some of you may have multiple inputs, which is why I like to keep them separate. Some people will have their gaming headset to talk to their friends on their console while they're playing, right? And then they will have their microphone. And if your console headset and going through your game capture card and all that so that everybody can be heard, you want your team to be heard, you may mute yourself on when you're speaking to your team to talk to just your chat. But then you don't want to, you can mute your other microphone when you go back to talk to your team. And that way you're not being heard twice, even though you're using two different microphones. You can have both of them set up in here with a lot more control. Personally, I only use the one microphone. I don't have a need for a second one at this time. But that option is now left open to me should I need to. I won't have to redo any of this just to add a microphone because I have a home for it. It's ready to go. Likewise, if I come along later and decide, oh, I want to add another sound thing that makes sound or whatever, it needs sound control that I don't already have on my list, I can just come right into my output sounds and add it there, and we're good to go. So now we come to the hard part, which is your game screens and your webcam. Now, I'm going to assume that everybody is using a webcam because that's what I use. I know not everybody does, right? I understand that. I need more coffee. Some of you are VTubers, some of you are PNG tubers, some of you are static image tubers. I don't know what you're called, but some people don't have a webcam at all. Some have just an image. Some of them have the animated, PNG. Some of you have the VTube models and the 3D and all that fancy shit. And some of you are just old and ugly like me and just have a camera and don't give a fuck. But whatever your options are, you need a place in OBS to house all of those things that run that. So in my instance, right now on the version of OBS that I'm using to stream to you right now, I have my webcam right here, my webcam scene, and in that I have my webcam, I have my filters and my masks for the webcam. That's what makes it a circle. That's also what makes the drama make it go black and white. The rage makes it turn red, that kind of thing. I have the webcam border, which is this little eye thing that you see here that the webcam fits inside of. And then I have a couple other little things that I can, that I use so that other things can happen with my webcam, like the zoom and things like that. So all of those are going to go in that scene. Now, obviously, I'm going to have to disable my webcam here so you can see it on here. So let me just do that real quick. I'm going to have to switch to that scene. And then I'm going to disable the webcam here. I'll say bye, and then you'll see me over here in just a few minutes, but you'll still hear me the whole time. Okay, so we're back here. Now my webcam is off, but now we can use it because obviously one input on the webcam means we can only have it in one area and that kind of thing. So we're going to do our best and try to trick OBS into letting us have it over here for now. So what I would do, first thing I would do is I'm going to add my webcam itself, and then we can do all the other stuff that we need to do to it later, if at all. So the first thing we're doing is a video capture device. We are using a webcam. We are doing a video capture device. Now, if you are one of the VTubers, you are going to be doing a game capture instead of a video capture because you are going to be capturing your VTube Studio or VRC Chat or whichever one it is that whatever they're called. I don't know all of them, but so make sure that you are using the right video capture source. So we have the display capture. The display captures for those of you with multiple monitors. This will capture the entire monitor. That's what I'm using right now to capture this. Why you can see my taskbar down here and all of this, because this is my entire screen of my second monitor. The game capture is designed to capture a specific game. Obviously, I know that makes a lot of sense, but when you think about it, this is meant for PC games, exe files that are running. And this game capture will capture only that scene. So I could actually use a game capture to capture this OBS window, and it would show only that. So you wouldn't see the taskbar, and if I minimized it, it would stay visible. You wouldn't see my background on my my desktop, right? Which is just boring and plain black because soul is my soul. But so there's also, right, an image capture. So for those of you that are just doing a webcam made out of a still stationary image or a animated GIF or anything like that, you would add an image. If you have a webcam, we're going to be doing a video capture device, and then the window capture is similar to the display capture, but it's only going to display that window. The difference between that window and the display capture, though, is that if that window has secondary menus, like this menu right here, when you go to click on it, I can click here. Nobody's going to be able to see this secondary menu. When I hover over add and I see all of these pop up, nobody will be able to see that because it's only capturing the window in the back, right? So you got to be very careful with the window capture. Some things require it. Most of those things will tell you. But for right now, again, we're adding a webcam, which I know a lot of you have already done, but we're going to go over it anyway. So we're going to video capture device. We're going to name this webcam. There we go. So now we're going to come through in our device. I have my Elgato. It has game capture capabilities, right? My HD Pro webcam. I have my Logitech capture. I have the virtual camera from OBS. You have a lot of options. So you want to find your webcam. And in this instance, mine will be the C920. And there it is. Hi, I'm back. All right. So as you can see, it hasn't been cropped. It hasn't been, masked or anything like it has. Now I'm looking backwards 3 different times. Over there in my little eyeball, right? I'm not a circle, right? You can see more of my background and it looks really shit. And I apologize for that. But you can actually come in here. You can configure your video. I always make sure to turn autofocus off. Pro tip, turn autofocus off if you have a webcam. Do it. Don't ask why, just fucking do it. Pretty much everything else you can go through those settings. This isn't a settings tutorial, but we will have one for setting up webcams and things like that, and going over what all of these different little things mean. But for now, it works. So there's our webcam. We can resize it. We can do anything we want to with it. But for right now, we're just going to keep it very simple. I'm gonna undo all of that. Oops, not all of it. I didn't mean to undo all of it. Jeez. Okay. There we go. We're going to keep it all default. Keyboard shortcuts, by the way. Control Z to undo, Control Y to redo. Saves a lot of time. Also, just so you know, if you set your settings up the way I told you, and with the snap to center enabled, you can do a Control D and make everything centered. That's an easy way to do it. Control D right there. Control that D. You got wind capture. Nice. Very good. So now we have our webcam, right? Here I am. And one thing you want to keep in mind when you're setting up your webcam, and this is another, it's a weird thing to do. I don't want to call it like a pro tip, but you got to keep in mind your camera location relative to your scene, okay? So where is your gameplay that you're going to be watching while you're playing a game? Where is your chat in relation to the Twitch video? Okay, so if you are default and everything, pardon the airplane going over my head. But for example, when I'm watching a Twitch stream, right, my chat is on the right, okay? So my chat is going to be over here. My game that I'm playing is on my secondary monitor, so I'm going to be looking here. And then my chat that I read, not the one on the screen, but the one that I read, is actually on my first monitor over here, right under my camera. So when I turn and talk to chat, I'm looking directly at you, right? And I'm talking to you, hi. But now I'm going to go back to my game. So now I'm keeping in mind. So for example, I want you to look at the difference. If I move this over here on this side, okay, and I pretend we have a game going in the background, right? Okay, now I'm talking to chat, right? Hi, how you doing? Everything looks great. Everything looks fine. You can see the game going on in the background. We're about to get into it. Let me get into it. Do you see what happened? I just turned away from my game. Even though I personally am looking directly at my game, right? My back is to the game on the video. And that is one of those little things that people see that is wrong, but they don't know what's wrong. Like if you ever seen anybody that had shaved eyebrows, like something is a little off, but you can't quite put what it is, but it makes you feel a little bit uneasy. This is one of those things. So there's 2 fixes for this. One, you can drag this shit over here. And now I'm looking at the game. And then when I look at chat, I'm looking at you, right? Or if you are dead set on having your webcam on this side, you can come in here, you can transform, and we can flip it on the horizontal. Now, I'm looking at my game, I'm looking at chat, I'm looking at my game. So those are your options, right? And you can do that right here. And make sure you lock it down. These locks are very important. I just same as locking the volume on your audio sources. We want to lock those down. Then we can't move them. We can't, once we get them where we want them, we'll never be able to accidentally move them or resize them or cause any kind of drama that way. Keep things locked. That way you know specifically when you are changing something, we need to unlock it so that I can make an adjustment or whatever, and then relock it so it doesn't accidentally happen again. So now that we have our webcam, right, and we can add a border if you wanted. I think I have a border here. I have a beautiful Pokemon one that my girlfriend made me, if I can find it. So we're going to add an image, right? Because most borders are going to be an image. We're going to call this cam border just to spice it up a little bit. You're going to get this little window here. And we're going to click on browse. We're going to go find our thing. Ah, there's my gear. Where did I put it, babe? Do you know? Do you remember? I don't remember. I think I put it in layout elements. Was it overlays? No, it was graphic elements? There's the Baldur's Gate one. Where did I put the Pokemon one? Oh my god. Scene elements. No? Oh my god, babe, I lost it. Babe, what'd I do with it? No, oh, there it is. It was in the Pokemon folder. Okay, look at that. Look at that. Isn't that so cute? She made that. We love her. Okay, so we're going to find our board, and we're going to say, okay, now here's what you got. Look how big that is, right? Comparatively to my webcam, right? Hello. Yeah. I know, it's so cute. It took her like a long time. And I was like, hey, what are you doing? Are you okay, babe? She's like, I'm working on something. Shush. But no, we're just going to line up one of the borders. We're going to come over here to this little red dot. We're going to resize, right? And we're going to make it right here. We're going to come down and get it about to where we like it. Okay, that's pretty good right there. And we're going to lock that down. We're going to come in. Now we got to adjust our webcam. So we're going to come here. I'm going to hold down the Alt key. This is a good trick for you people out there to learn right now with your sources and things when we're building our scenes. These little red boxes are where you can click and drag your elements. Okay, so for example, I can click and drag, boop, boop, right? If you hold down the Alt key and you drag, see how it turns green, that line? We're cropping without resizing. Okay? It is very OP. The Alt key is amazing. So we're going to put our webcam in this border that is more 16 by 9 when this webcam comes in at a 4.3 or 4:3. And all we have to do is we have it nice and centered in there. Maybe we can make it a little bit bigger like this. There we go. And then we'll move it just up a little bit with the arrow keys, because we're perfectionists, so we like it middle, 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 middle. And then the only thing else is now it's just kind of hanging off of the bottom. So what we're going to do is our majestic Alt key, and we're going to drag that right up to the middle of the bottom of that frame. Boom. Right? Now we're perfectly framed in a perfect little webcam. We're looking at our game. We're looking at chat. We're looking at our game. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. We lock it down, and now we have our webcam. So now we need to add in our game screen, right? But yeah, so there's our webcam. Now I'm going to leave this like this, but I now have the option, okay, to add more things. But I'm not ready to do that yet. So I'm leaving myself open. Now I have a home in OBS for all of my webcam stuff. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and open Ghost Exorcism again, just because it's a quiet game. And then we're going to show you how to add a game now that it's opening. Okay, so we're going to now go to the game screen. So again, you're going to not see my face. You're welcome. But you'll still hear my voice. I'm sorry. and we're going to add the game. Excuse me. Okay, so now we're on our game screens. Okay, and because this game comes from Steam, it's an executable, it's local to the PC, we are going to be using a game capture. So we're going to come up here to game capture. Now, if I was using my console, like if I was playing, I don't know, Halo or Pokemon or Baldur's Gate from, oh, thank you, babe. I love your voice and your face too. But if I was using my console to play a game and it was coming through my capture card, I would be using a video capture device to capture my Elgato, right? If I was playing, some of the games that you play come in a container. A lot of the Amazon games that you play come in a container, so they won't show up on a game capture, so you'll need to do a window capture. So depending on what you're playing or what type of game or where the input is actually coming from will determine what you are using for your instance. So, but Steam games, Epic games, you know, your Fortnites and all your Phasmos and all of that are going to be mostly done with a game capture. So we're going to do this. We're going to call this full screen game. And I name mine full screen game because I also stream off of the console and they are not full screen. So they are windowed on my stream. If you've ever seen them, you know what I'm talking about. So that's why I named that. But again, name your things whatever you want to name them, as long as you understand what those names are and what they mean to you. Nobody else is ever going to know. So now we're going to have to come in here, the mode. As you can see, nothing is showing up in the preview. We're going to capture a specific window, and that's going to give us 2 new drop downs. Now we're going to capture Ghost Exorcism, just like we did with the audio. The window is where we pick our game, and from the drop down, like we just like we did with the audio input capture, except now these are video captures, right? So we got our game, and then once we have it selected, you'll see it will pop up in the preview. Now, this window match priority is one of the most often overlooked but most powerful little drop downs you will ever see in your life. And I'm going to tell you why. What you want to do is you want to come down and make sure, and most of these do it by default now because of how powerful it is, but you have 3 items. So you have window title must match. Now, for those of you that don't know specifically, I will show you. Again, the window title is the name up here. So this window's title is properties for full screen game. On my OBS, which I can't show you because, well, you know what? I can't show you. Okay. Let's minimize this. Okay. The window title for my OBS is this whole thing full. OBS 29.1.2 portable model profile tutorial scenes OBS tutorial. That is the window title. Now, what makes that so powerful? We're going to come back in here. Notice me, senpai. Ooh, woo. Welcome in, Dave. How are you? Thank you for the resub. I appreciate you greatly. I hope you are doing well. But okay. So what happens then is the window title must match. So that means if that game ever updates and that they change the title in any way, they add a period, add a space, make one letter capital that wasn't capital before, and you have it set to window title must match, it will not display. It'll stop displaying. So don't ever use that. Match title, otherwise find window of same type. Okay, that means right now, Ghost Exorcism is an exe file. So if something were to happen and Ghost Exorcism were to like crash or hang or freeze or cause OBS some kind of confusion, OBS then would look for any other exe that is currently running and display that in its place. And as you can imagine, if you have Discord open or Pornhub open, oh, thank you. Thank you for the alert. Thank you for the bazinga. But whatever, anything else you have open that is also an exe file can possibly be displayed in its place. So we want to avoid that one as well. And that is why you choose match title, otherwise find window of same executable. And what that means is if something is wrong with this window or this title changes it's going to make sure that whatever it displays comes from this same executable tree. And that's what we want. Now, the SLI and crossfire capture mode, you don't really need that. Some games will require that. I know like season 2 or chapter 2 or whatever hell they were, like a couple years ago worth of Fortnite had to have the SLI on or else it wouldn't capture the motion. Some have transparency that you need to allow through. And this will also be used, the allow transparency will also be used when you bring in things like your stream avatars and things like that that are on the screen as overlays. You'll need to do that. But for our game, we don't. One thing you need to decide is if you want to capture your cursor or not. Now, normally I do, just so stream knows what I'm looking at or pointing at, or I can circle things or whatever, but you may not want your gameplay to have the cursor on it, which is fine, especially if you're doing like a recording or making YouTube videos or whatever. You don't want the cursor all over the place being a distraction. You can uncheck that and it won't capture the cursor no matter what you do with it. But it does make it look kind of awkward in games where you have to like click a lot and click on things and whatnot because nobody knows where you're going next until they see the item light up or whatever. So I usually leave that on, but that's your decision to make based on the game you're playing. Once we have that, okay, and now we want this to be full screen. We're just going to drag that right here. Okay, and we can get pretty close. We know we're at 6 and 12. There we go. So now that's full screen. You see how long that took me? Would you like a shortcut to do that? All right, let's go back to where we were. All right, this is where we were when we first loaded in. We aren't full screen here, but we can come here. We right click on this and we can go to transform. If you go to transform, you will see right here, fit to screen, stretch to screen, center to screen. We want to stretch it to screen. Bam, automatic, full screen resolution. We didn't have to do nothing. Lock it down. So now we have our game in. Let's go back there. There's my face. Hello, welcome back. Okay, so now we have audio. We have our webcam with our border, our beautiful border. We have the gameplay is all there, but you notice it's not all together, is it? Right? So this is where we have pretty much done building the pieces, and now we get to put the puzzle together, one little spot at a time. So I'm going to do a gameplay scene for you, but as you can, imagine, you can extrapolate from that data to make the other scenes. And if any of you have any questions along the way, feel free to drop them in. If you're watching this on YouTube tomorrow, hi, future people, leave it in the comments. I answer every comment that comes through, some of them within a couple hours, most of them within the first day. I try to catch comments every day. So anyway, what we're doing now is we're going to go to the gameplay scene, and it's going to go completely dark. You're not going to, well, you'll still hear me because I have my microphone on my other OBS, but you're not going to see anything and all that. There's not going to be anything. It's going to look just like it has been when we first started. But we're going to quickly change that with nested scenes. Sounds exciting, right? Okay, so let's go to gameplay. All right, so here we are on gameplay. And as you can see, no sources, no audio, no nothing. Pretty crappy scene. Well, we know from experience, the first thing that we need to add is the audio, right? Okay, well, we want people to hear us. So we have our input sounds, which is our microphone. So we're going to bring that in. And you can do that by adding a new source, because here we are under sources. And this might be a little confusing at first, but just hang with me. We're going to add a scene as a source. And the scene is one that we've already created. So we're going to add existing, and we are going to add our input sounds. So we're going to find input sounds here on the list. We're going to click it once to highlight it. Click OK. We're going to lock it down. Now we have our microphone with all of its filters and everything else that we did to our microphone on the actual scene inside here now. So now in our gameplay scene, they can hear us talking through our microphone. So we're going to do the same thing with our output sounds. We're going to add another scene. We're going to add an existing one. This is going to be our output sounds. We're going to go ahead and lock that down. And there's all of those sounds that we added before, the same volume levels as before. Notice we got to lock our microphone. We got to lock our browser. We're going to bring our browser way down. We got to lock that volume, right? We've got everything locked now. Nothing can be changed, but everything is here. Just as we've already set it all up. You only have to set it up once. Now we're just using it, and that's great. So the next thing that we want to do, we have our microphone, we have our game sound, but we don't have our game itself. So we're going to bring in another scene, another existing one that we've already built. This is our game screen. We're going to click OK. And there it is. I'm going to drag this down. I like my game screen to be near the bottom. Remember, this is a top-down view of list. So whatever's on top is what's seen first. Okay, so obviously you don't see the input and output sounds because they are volume and not visual, or audio but not visual, but it still kind of matters in my brain that everything is, you know, sorted correctly. So game screens are going to be on the bottom. We're going to go ahead and lock that down, and now we can't move it, but it's there. So when we're ready to play the game, the only thing missing is my gorgeous face. And since I don't have one of those, I will show you my actual face. And we're going to come in and put our webcam scene, and we're going to add that. There I am. Hello. Look at my parents' greatest disappointment. But we're going to drag that below the input and output sounds as well, but above the game screen, right? So don't laugh at me, Gravitas. Come on. So now we have our gameplay scene. We have our sounds, we have our webcam, we have our game. If I wanted to go in and play the game, we could go and do that. And then voila, you know, we have it. We are live and, you know, we're talking. I have my chat window right over here. Okay. And we're doing all the things. I can see my activity, right? So when somebody follows, I can, oh, look who followed me. I can say thanks to them. It's all right here in OBS. If you are lucky enough to have dual monitors, you can have the game on one monitor and your OBS on the other, and you can have everything open and looking right there while playing the game, and you don't have to like close and tab out all the time to look at things. If you're on a solo monitor, it's a little more difficult, but you have, you know, Alt Tab and the Windows key to get to your taskbar to open up things and look at things or whatever. So it can be done. We've all done it. You know, right now I only use 3 monitors. I wish it was 4, but, you know, I have the 2 here and then the one up there that I keep looking at. That's why I'm looking, you know, over there. How you doing? But I want my 4th one back. I just don't. I need to buy a new one. Anyway, I digress. So that's basically, now, this is our gameplay, right? And everything. Okay, so our Be Right Back screen is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to have the game screen. We're not going to have the webcam. We're not going to have the input sound because I don't want my microphone to be played while I'm taking a pee on a Be Right Back screen. We already talked about that. I pee really loud, right? So I don't want you to hear that. So we're going to have the output sounds though, because the output, I want you to hear the microphone, or not the microphone, I'm sorry, maybe the game. Maybe I want you to hear, you know, the Spotify or the browser source or whatever it is that we're playing that we have added in here. Maybe I want you to hear those, but it's going to be a little bit different. So we don't need to add everything. So I might go to my BRB screen and we can add a new, add a new scene. And this is going to be add existing. And we're going to add our alerts because this is where our, you know, our alerts are from. Oh, we're going to come back in. We're going to add another one. We're going to add our output sounds. So there they are. We're going to go ahead and lock those down. Now we got those. Again, no microphone because nobody needs to hear me, but you can hear everything else. But maybe we want a cute background image. So again, we're going to go add an image. We're going to name this one BRB background. And then we're just going to find a nice little image to put in as the background. And I don't care what it is. We'll go with this one. So there you go. And then again, it's too big. So we can come to our transform and we can go fit to screen. There you go. That looks lovely. I mean, it doesn't, but, you know, not something I would use as a background scene. So you don't like it? Okay, you know what you do? Here's what you're going to do. If you decide you added this image, you're like, I don't like it. but you've changed it. See how we've changed it? We've already changed it, right? It came in so big. Now I can't control Z and all that, but let's just go to transform, reset transform. And it's going to put it back exactly how it was. Okay. Now we can come into our properties. We can click on the browse button and we can find a new image, one that's better. Maybe we have a better background image, right? So we're going to go back, look at our backgrounds. You know, hey, there's a pretty cool one. Let's try that. Okay, so there's our same one. We didn't change anything. We just changed the location of where our image was. And you can do that right here as well if you want to. And then we want this one instead. And there it is. So we finally get the background that we like. Okay, that's on our BRB screen. So we have that done. Maybe we want to add some little text, right? Saying, letting people know, hey, you can't hear me or see me because I am in the bathroom praying to the porcelain god. So we're going to add some text. And this is text is a lot of fun because there's a lot you can do with it. But I'm going to show you real quick basic. As with everything, you're going to give it a name. So this is going to be our BRB explain. Right? I can't spell. Don't worry about it. You can select your font. OBS will pick up any font that you have installed on your computer. Doesn't matter what it is. So you're going to pick the font, whether it's regular, italic, bold, that'll show up here. You can put in a custom size if you want. We're going to go ahead with 72 because we can manually resize it. And then you click OK. Down here, you can pick your colors and all of that of the text. Do you want it to have a background? Do you want it to have a border? That kind of stuff. And then the text itself, what does it say? So we're going to have ours say, BRB Bearded is taking a pee. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump you ahead a couple of pro steps. When you have text like this that's really long, come to the very front of it and put in 2 or 3 spaces, just like that. And you're going to see why in a minute. So now this is our text. We're going to get rid of that space at the end. BRB Bearded is taking a pee. Okay. So there it is. It's white. It's ugly, but it's functional. Now we're going to make this. Whoops. We're going to make this about the size of the screen right there. You see that? But I want this at the bottom. So we're going to make it at the bottom. And we're just going to kind of align that up just a little bit with the whole thing. There we go. Just like that. Now, you see how I got that little space at the beginning? Why did I do that, Bearded? Well, I'm going to show you why. Because one of the cool things you can do with text is you can make it move. So we're going to come into our BRB explain, and the first thing we're going to do is rename that because, again, just like the sound earlier, it's bugging the shit out of me. All right. And then we're going to right-click on this, and we're going to go to filters. And this is going to give you this little pop-up right here, where you can put filters on text, just like you can put filters on almost anything. So we're going to go in here, and we're going to go to scroll. We don't need to rename that because you can have a vertical scroll or a horizontal scroll. Okay. And we can set the speed. We can limit the width or the height. In this case, we're going to loop it. Yes. And we're going to have a horizontal. I'm going to set the speed to about, we'll try 65, see what that looks like. But we're going to limit the width. And we're going to limit the width to the width of our canvas, which is 1920. Okay. So now I'm going to go close. And as you can see, we are scrolling the full width of the border of our BRB screen here. And now you can see why we added that space in the beginning. Because if we didn't have that space before our BRB, the BRB would be pushed right up against that last exclamation point. So anytime you're adding text and you plan to add a scroll, put a little space at the beginning, fix all of your worries and problems right there. So now we can have other things in here. One of the things I like to do on my Be Right Back screens is I like to give I like to give my viewers something to look at. In this case, that would be clips, right? So I have downloaded all of my old clips and I keep them in a folder, and then I have OBS draw from that folder and display the clips when the Be Right Back screen is active. How do you do that, Bearded? I'm so glad you asked. We're going to cover that right now. First, you're going to come in here and we're going to add a media source. Now, if you have VLC added to your computer, VLC is a standalone program. If you have the 64-bit version of VLC, you will notice that you have this VLC video source option for you. If you don't, you're only going to see media source, and it's okay. It's kind of like a lowered version of the difference between these two. The VLC gives you a lot more options, a little more power than the media source, but they both kind of work the same. But so if you're going to do VLC, do VLC. Otherwise, you're going to do media source and kind of follow along. We're going to give it a name. This is going to be our clips or BRB. Okay, and still thinking ahead. I might use clips somewhere else, and it's going to need a different name, right? So one thing I want to do is I want to loop our playlist in case my pee turns into a poo. Then I'm going to be gone longer. Maybe my clips will run out. You'll have to, watch them through a second time. We want to shuffle the playlist so that every time it loads it in a different order. And I'm going to explain more on that in a moment because there's a big, huge misconception about this shuffle playlist thing. So we're going to cover that. But first, let's get it working. Okay, the visibility behavior. As you can see, you can have it stop when it's not visible and restart when it's visible, meaning if it's in the middle of a clip, it'll stop that clip and then it'll restart from the beginning of that clip the next time it becomes visible. You can pause when not visible and unpause, which means if you're in the middle of a clip, it will pause that clip right where it's at. And then when you make the thing visible again, it will unpause and pick up from where it left off. Or you can say always play even when not visible. That's kind of boring because then you have to manually turn it off and all that. So we want to stop it when it's visible, restart when visible. This will allow us to not have to worry about waiting to turn the thing off till the end of a clip or that kind of thing. Now for the playlist, this area is where you're going to put your playlist. So if you have all of your clips inside a folder on your desktop or on your computer somewhere, which is what I recommended last time to you, so hopefully you followed along and did that, you can come and click the plus sign on the far right over here. We're going to add a directory, not an individual file. We're just going to add a directory, okay? And then we're going to find it. I have my programs, and then I have my Twitch clips. And so I'm just clicking once to highlight that directory. We're going to select it, and as you can see, there it goes. And then I'm not worried about my network caching. My audio track always is going to follow on. It's going to default to 1, which it's always going to be because that's how we have it set in our audio. And then we're going to click OK. There's my clips. But you won't be able. You can see that they're moving. You see that it's making sound. You can't hear it on stream. I can't hear it in my headphones either. Why? Well, because we haven't set it up right, because this works a little bit different than the other audios that we have. So we got to come into our advanced audio properties. Okay. And what's going to happen is we got to look for it. Where's our clips for BRB? Right here. Okay. We can uncheck 4, 5, 6 automatically. We know that. Do we want them on our recording to play? No, I don't, because on my recording, I'm not going to leave my BRB screen for the YouTube channel, right? I'm going to edit that out. I know I didn't do that last week and you got suffered through the BRB screen. Fuck you. Deal with it. Do I want it on the VOD and do I want it on the live stream? Yes, of course I do. So those both can stay. But I want to be able to hear it. So I'm going to come to the audio monitoring. Right now, monitor is off. Now, remember, I told you this is different than the other settings. I'll explain why in just a second. For this one, if you want to hear it, which you want to hear your own clips, you want to hear your own alerts, that kind of thing, you're going to come here and choose monitor and output. And now, at this point, you can now hear them. Okay, I'm gonna mute I'm going to mute them. I'm going to mute them so that I can continue to talk. So that I can continue to talk to you while we're going about this, but we're going to go back in here and pretend it's not muted. So now you can hear them and Stream can hear them. Okay, so what are these three different options and why do they matter? Audio monitoring is what happens and where the audio sounds go. Monitor off. Monitor, as you can see, there's only two options. There's monitor and there's output. Monitor means you can hear it in your headset or in your speakers or whatever your default listening device is. 9 times out of 10, you want the monitor to be off because you don't want to hear that feedback. For example, you don't want to monitor your microphone because everything you say, you would then hear yourself say inside your headphones, which is very weird. Don't do that. That's creepy. And if you do that, stop doing that because it's creepy. So monitor off means you're not going to be able to hear it. Okay. Monitor only mute output means now my headset is the only one that can hear it. No matter what I select here in these tracks, my headset or my default speakers are the only thing that can hear the output from these clips, and it mutes it going to your stream or going to your recording. So they are not going to play on your record, but you'll hear them in your head. So for example, if you wanted to listen to your Spotify songs and not get a copyright, you could set those to monitor only. You can hear your Spotify and dance along and sing along, but nobody else will be able to hear it, which kind of sucks, which is why we do it this way instead. But that is an option. And then of course, the other option is the one that you're going to use second most often, which is the monitor and output, which means you can hear it in your head and it's still being output to stream. So just to be clear and go through that again, monitor off means no headset for you, but it is being output to your stream and recordings. Monitor only means you hear it in your headset, not being output to stream or recording. And then monitor and output, of course, both stream, recording, and your headset can hear it. So that's what we do. Now, why are all these other ones, the sounds, the Spotify's, the Discord calls, why are they all set to monitor off? Don't we need to be able to hear those? Well, the short answer is yes. But if you remember, let me close this out. We added an application audio output capture. So these are already being output to our headsets. Okay. The gameplay, the alerts, everything that plugin is picking up is being split into 2 channels. One channel goes into OBS. The other channel goes into your default speaker system, which is going to be your headset or the speakers on your monitors, that kind of thing. So it's actually 2 signals, and we are already listening to the one in our headset. So if we come in here into the advanced audio and we set one of these, like let's say, for example, the Discord call, if we set that to monitor and output, we're already hearing our Discord call. And now we're hearing it a second time. And because we're hearing it a second time, it's being output a second time, which means we're going to then hear it 4 times, and it's going to loop and get worse and get worse and get worse. So we leave all of the ones that we create with the plugin, the Wind Capture Audio plugin, we leave all of those to monitor off because they are already split into 2 separate channels, one for us, one for OBS and the stream. So I hope that makes sense because we're going to move on. So here we are. We have our clips. We have the audio. I haven't locked it down yet because I want this to be like more centered or something and look a little better. Like that's pretty good right there. And that's, you know, a functional be right back screen, so we can lock that down. We have our clips going. We have the audio for them, which might be a little bit loud. So we're going to bring that down and lock it down. How's that sound? Oh. Right. There you go. So we have that done. And now if I turn this off, the visibility off, and I turn it back on, it's going to reset. Because that's what we told it to do. And I turn it off and I turn it back on again, it's going to reset. But you notice how it's always coming back to the same clip? We're restarting the exact same clip. How come it? Why is it doing that? Why is it doing that? Because we told it to shuffle the playlist. And I told you I would circle back to this and explain it because there is a lot of misinformation. Okay, when you have, this is your playlist. We can loop the playlist, which means once the playlist is complete, it'll come back and play it again, and we can shuffle the playlist. Now, our playlist happens to be a folder, and if you were to look at it, let me just open one up. There it is. There's my Twitch clips. You can see I have a lot of different clips in here, right? These aren't every single clip I've ever had, but these are the better ones, the ones that I've saved, the ones that I've had to delete off of stream for shout out reasons or whatever, but I still want them to be around and be seen. So I have in this folder, I have like, what, 92 of them. Okay, so almost 100 clips. So it's going to be a while before it cycles through all 100 of those, or 92 of them. But when it does, it'll start over again at the same one. But why then, if we have shuffle playlist enabled, does it not shuffle the playlist every time it becomes visible? So when I bring this visibility on, right, there we go. But if I do it again, and then I do it again, it should shuffle. That's what we're telling it to do, shuffle. But let me explain to you what's really happening, okay? And the reason why it does this when I come in here and do this. Okay, so first off, when you load OBS, when you start OBS at the beginning of your stream or whatever it is, this list right here, this playlist is populated. And that list then becomes shuffled. Right, all of the, I mean, it's instantaneous, right? So these 92 clips are put into a specific order by this toggle right here. And that order is what is shuffled. So my clips don't start with that Fortnite clip. They don't start with that Pokemon clip that you saw earlier. That's not the first one on the list. So that list of this directory is being shuffled by OBS. And once it's shuffled and OBS continues to load, it's not going to shuffle it again. Okay, does that make sense? It only shuffles it once OBS loads. So your shuffled playlist will always be the same playlist in the same order unless you manually come in and shuffle it, right? So I can come in here and do this, but then I can come back in here. I can go see that Fable one, and I can shuffle my playlist. It's going to shuffle it because I've enabled it, and now we've got a different one. But I don't want to do that every time. But people think, oh, it says shuffle, it should shuffle it every time. No, OBS doesn't do that. OBS shuffles it as soon as that playlist is loaded, and that's it. So every time you come to your BRB screen, you're going to see the same one over and over and over and over, the same order of those clips over and over until you close OBS and restart OBS the next time. And then it'll be a different order, but it'll be a different order that is the same for that stream or that session. So I hope that makes sense and why the shuffle doesn't necessarily shuffle like people think it does, but that's what's going on. It is being shuffled. It's only being shuffled once, and then that shuffled order is what is played over and over and over until you shut OBS down. So we're moving on. Now we have our gameplay. Hi, I'm back. Here's my face. And we built our scenes, right? We built our audio. We've got our nested scenes here. And just as you remember, on our Be Right Back screen, we added things that may or may not be there on our gameplay. So we can have different elements and different books on the different scenes without them affecting other scenes. We can nest our current scenes, and I use specifically the audio and video to nest with because it gives me much more control. There are a few downsides to it. One of the downsides is, you know, if I change games, right, I can't change my game right here. I have to go to my game screens thing. I have to then double click into here. I have to then pick a new window with whatever game is open. You know, I don't have another one open, but you get the idea. And then I can come back to my gameplay scene with the new game loaded. That is a downside. But on the positive, instead of having a game screen on every single scene, or having a game scene and a video capture and a window capture because I'm playing different genres or whatever, I only have the one, and I can toggle the visibility off right here. I can toggle on, and it takes up way less resources, both encoding for the GPU and rendering for the, or encoding for the CPU and rendering for the GPU, to save resources on my stats. So it keeps those things low and not missing any frames, or not missing many frames, because everything is not. Now, if I had all 5 of those options for video capture listed right here, OBS would try to load them all right here. And every time I made a change to one, it would reshuffle the list. It would take up a lot of resources, and on and on and on and on and on. We only want to do that once. And by going to the other scene like this, we are only dealing with everything that is loaded into this one scene for OBS to deal with. And then when we come back, whoop, there it is. When we come back, OBS has only had to recycle from that one scene, so we didn't lose anything. Does that make sense? So it saves a little bit of resources, even though it is that one extra step. And your community might be like, oh, why'd you go black real quick? But if they know that you're changing games or whatever, he's like, I'm going to be right back real quick. You know, I'm going to dip out to the netherworld. I tell them I'm going to the abyss. And then I go to my game scenes. I come in here. I got the game's already loaded at this point, right? And I'm like, oh, there's Ghost X. Come in, click OK. Come back here to my gameplay. Boom. And by the time I get back, the game, it's loaded. Everything looks great. And I was only gone for a couple seconds. So it's kind of a trade-off. But again, the game screens one is optional based on your style and what you expect from your own streams. Now, if you know that you are only going to be playing games from Steam or from Epic, or from the PC, and you don't have a console hooked up, or you're not using a capture card, and you're only going to have gameplay on your gameplay scene, you may not need this scene at all. You can load your game screens directly into. So I can come in here, I can come in and go add, we're going to add a game capture, we're going to add an existing one, we're going to add the full screen game. I'm going to pull that down. I'm going to make it full screen. And then I'm going to get rid of this right here, remove that scene. Yep, I'm sure. Nothing changed for you. I'm not using my game screen scene, but I am using my full screen game. So now I don't have to leave my window or my scene to change games. I can change it, to whatever it is right there. Boom. And we're done, right? So that's an option for you. I personally kind of have to use the game screen for the different types of games that I use and how many different sources I have coming in and affecting them, because my OBS is a lot more complicated, I guess is the word, because I have the capture cards. I have the HD capture card. I got the AV capture card to get the old consoles that still have the red, blue, and white cables, right? Complicated is right. Hi, Chaos. How are you? Yeah, I have AV cable capture cards. I got USB capture cards. I have HDMI capture cards. I have the Steam games. I have the window captures. I have the game captures. So I have a lot going on, which makes my sources for a particular scene fill up really fast. And for organizational speed, and I don't mind the 3 seconds it's going to take me to dip to this screen, come back, click here, change my game right there. Oh, we're going to go with this game. Click OK, come back, we're done. Nobody's missing anything. You know what I mean? And if you say, I'll be right back, I got to change the game screen, nobody's going to complain. And if they do complain, you just, whatever. OBS makes you break out in hives. You've been lurking. Well, thank you for lurking and for hanging out, Chaos. And I hope that we're helping you understand it more. I know I've covered quite a little bit in this thing today, but I just wanted to get, like I said, I wanted to get a basic structure for scene collection layout so that everybody can have. Now you can go and build your starting soon screen. You can go and build your just chatting screen. You can build your gameplay and your be right back and your ending screens. And once you have all of those built, you're good to go. And you know, you're good. So, okay, how does it work then, right? If we're live and I click, oh, we're start streaming and we go live, this is the scene that everybody's going to see the moment we go live, right? So we're going to do it. But oh my God, we've been playing for a couple hours and I've had so much coffee, I got to go pee really bad. All you have to do is inside OBS, you know, tab out of your game probably. Some of them you don't have to. You just come over here and all you got to do is click on BRB. And it's going to switch over to the BRB screen. It's going to start playing your clips. And then when you're done peeing and you come back, all you got to do is click on gameplay again. And then it comes back to your gameplay scene and you can continue on. And then when you're done, you're like, okay, guys, we're going to raid out. Let me go to my ending scene. We're going to go over to the ending scene, which obviously doesn't have anything on it because I didn't build it, but you get the idea. And then you can raid out or end your stream from there, you know, and it makes everything a lot easier. But that's all you got to do. And you can also set up your bots if you have the right kind of bots to do that for you. If you have a stream deck, you can have that do that for you. Things like that. So you have other options of control, so you don't have to tab out of the game. Like I have the streamer.bot that controls all of my OBS. I also have the stream deck for streamerbot that controls streamerbot that then controls OBS. So I just got to push a button and things happen without me having to tab out of my game or whatever. It makes it a lot easier, but we will get to those more advanced style of integrations later on. So we've done it for 2 weeks now, right? The first week was kind of scuffed, but you know, it was the first one, right? So we learned how to download OBS, get it installed, the 5 plugins, well, 4 plugins and 1 LUA that are essential to OBS, in my opinion, and how to set those up. And we covered every single setting in the settings menu and what they are. And then we kind of fucked around and showed you a little bit of the functionality. This week, we went from where we left off last time and we came to a fresh install with all the settings already set. And we created all of these different scenes for our scene collection. And then we built a couple scenes to show you how to nest them and how to set up the audio for them and how to make sure that you have everything on the right channels for your audio and your video, and then how to stack things in your scene so that your webcam's on top of your game, is on top of your audio, is on top, you know, whatever. So now you know how to build a scene. So all you got to decide is what scene do you want to build and then get to work. Do you want a background image? Do you want a video? Do you want animated stuff? Do you want to go through? And then I think next week we're going to work on some more of the external integrations. So like stream elements, we're going to bring in some browser sources. We might do like, you know, adding browser sources and external components to OBS and to our scenes to make them more flushed out and well-rounded. But that's what we're looking for. If you have any questions, leave a comment below. If you want to check us out live, I do this every Sunday. From about 3 until however long it takes, 2 or 3 hours usually. I will see you there, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more, and I will see you next week. Love, peace, and chicken grease.